All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me. Afternoon, and it's great to spend some time with you. We have a very interesting interview today with Michael Strickland. He's laughing at liberals on YouTube, and he was kind of a big deal back in 2016. And then all of a sudden, he was beaten up by Antifa. And you'll hear a story coming up in just a few minutes, but you don't know him perhaps right now because he was removed. He was taken out. He was jailed. And you'll hear his story. He was the first one attacked by Antifa. Now you've seen all sorts of people being attacked by Antifa. He was the first one. He was the template. And I was the maybe last one that was heckled by Antifa when I went to the Antifa ICE operation in Portland. Traveled there, made sure I got there because I live on the West Coast, but I'm not close to everything, okay? And so I live on the West Coast, and I decided I was going to have to go to the Antifa stronghold. That is Portland, Oregon, Antifa Stan. That's my friend calls it. And so I did. And that's on Sunday afternoon, which is during the daytime, just getting dusk. And it worked out great because I wasn't there for the dangerous time. Here's my Antifa shirt. It's called The Real Housewives of Antifa. It's got the Adult in the Room podcast. I'm going to get better versions of this, but anyway, so I've got it to take my friends who are women who are at the ICE operation by Antifa. Okay, lots to talk about. Let me give you a few of the things that I saw down there. One, here is some of the graffiti. There is a myriad of graffiti down there that I could tell you. Look up and see the ICE building, and there's the American Gestapo. The American Gestapo. Oh, okay. Sure it is. Yeah. And it took maybe 5 minutes for me to make sure we've got all kinds of tech issues today. I was just laughing because both Alex and I have done radio for years. Okay. Alex is the guy who gets this thing on the air. And we were just talking about how, man, this is really unnerving because it takes a while to download and process, etc. Some of the things, the elements of our show today. And he just said, hey, my computer's crashing. Isn't this great? You know, once you've seen danger. But okay, for those of you watching, the few of you who do actually watch the live stream, of course, we produce this and put it out later. And if you want one of these Real Housewives of Antifa t-shirts that I had designed and printed, let me know. Victoria at victoriataft.com is where you can get in touch with me. Or you can maybe check me out on social media. Okay. So I go down to the ICE building. I say down because I started in downtown Portland and got a ride with a friend. Let me put it that way. I don't want to put that friend in harm's way. And among the people I met there was remember the black gentleman? If you follow any of the live streams, he came down to run cover to protect two female reporters at the ICE headquarters because they started getting beaten up and harassed. One of them was Katie Davis Court, who was with the Post Millennium, and the other one is an independent person who is who's there by herself, actually. And this is interesting. I'm having interesting issues as well. Alex, oh, there you go. Okay. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I just had something blow up on me and that's why you do live streams. And that's why, anything can happen. Anything can happen. on live streams and or on radio. So I'm used to it, but it's just a little unnerving. Be that as it may. Okay, so I go down there. I see these guys, and I want to make sure they get these T-shirts because we're all Real Housewives of Antifa. And you can be too. And I've got other things. I've got all kinds of images that I had created. I created them along with the talented individual who drew them for me at my behest and at my, I told him what to do. He's incredibly talented. So I knew with whom I was dealing. But I was going to put these up for sale 5 years ago during 2020. And you realize that not one company would allow me to put these images up? Here's Batgirl. Here's the woman, in the Real Housewife world, all of the Real Housewives hold something. In Salt Lake City, it's a snowflake. In Beverly Hills, it's a diamond. And in Antifistan, it's a grenade. And here's another woman who's got a skateboard because skateboards are used to harm people in a crowd. They pretend they're skateboarders and then they use it to hit people and break things. So that is why I have these characters on this shirt, but I have one containing images of journalists, and all sorts of things. Okay. So I'm down there, and it's not 5 minutes I'm down there, that all of a sudden I thought, well, I'm going to go through this, the illegal encampment down there, which is, if you've seen any of the images, it's like a bunch of pop-up tents next to the ICE headquarters, which, by the way, this is an operational security issue. And I mean, I was like, what the heck are they allowing these people to camp next to the ICE building? This is no bueno, man. Come on, Portland. So I thought, well, they're on a public sidewalk. You're not supposed to get in the way of the sidewalk. They have no permits to set up their encampment on the sidewalk. There's no public camping, supposedly, in Portland anymore. So I walked through the camp and took a lot of pictures. And this is how it went. Sorry for the narrow shots.
Please, we do not like cameras in camp. Please remove your camera. Please
sure, lady.
Remove your camera.
Whatever you say, lady.
Do not film camp.
I'm trying to get as much information with the shot as possible. You hear that? So that lady, you heard her, she sicks one of her flying monkeys on me. Watch this. So that's me. That's my shadow. I'm in black block, by the way. See that guy with the umbrella behind me? Yeah. He's doing your typical Antifa thing by hiding, trying to get in the way of my camera to prevent me from doing any shooting. That's their old trick. It also works as a weapon in a pinch. And he starts calling me, foul, incredibly foul names. And so I'm going back to get more establishing shots, and then I've crossed the street here to get the establishing shots, also more. And he is just barking at me like nobody's business. He's a profane troll. And people are going by the encampment, going by the ICE headquarters. They're honking their horns, all kinds of Antifa-friendly tourists. So then I come upon the one thing that hasn't been happening for a very, very long time until Donald Trump said, I'm going to send the National Guard in. And of course, there's all sorts of court battles going on with that. But they didn't send Portland Police Bureau officers back out onto the street until Donald Trump said, I'm sending the National Guard. You people clearly don't know how to do your jobs.
You get into her face. She's filming. She's allowed to film.
I want you to, this is a cop. This is the first time this has happened in years. This is the first time a police officer has helped any reporter ever since Antifa came on the scene, ever. If there's another person, let me know. But of course, I was blocked out. So he didn't know. Maybe I was Antifa friendly and he's willing to help me. I have no idea because it's really hard to know what the hell the Portland police are doing out there in general and their hands-off attitude toward it. So there is this. He's going to continue to speak, and then the press aid for Antifa comes out to give him a hand. And the press aid is all wrong. Listen,
Yeah, she's stationary. Get on the sidewalk.
there's that little troll.
You're gonna get on his ass by putting up.
No.
You're gonna get on him about putting his fucking thing up.
Sorry about that.
She's allowed to fucking
can
film.
film, yeah.
He's allowed to block her filming.
Get on the sidewalk.
Constitution.
Okay,
She's
step
allowed
back.
to do that
All
shit.
right,
You
yeah.
know that.
She's allowed to film too.
You know that she's
You're allowed to film.
block her.
Yeah, he tells me I'm allowed to film. No duh, Dick Tracy. So they're still yelling at me. Anyway, the rest of the media show up because they go, "Oh, fighting the calf, let's go." And so I was the first reporter ever helped by the Portland Police Bureau, ever. Because I got a list of them. I have been harmed, assaulted by the Portland hands-off values of the Portland Police Bureau when it comes to Antifa. Why they continue to allow this place to continue and fester, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm very happy to report to you that the Civil Rights Division Chief of the Department of Justice, Harmeet Dillon, announced that she will investigate the Portland Police Bureau's hands-off policy on Antifa and their assault on the First and I believe Fifth Amendments. And as you know, what that guy was doing is he was cramming in, getting real close to me. And he was preventing me from moving forward. That is illegal. You may not do that. That's actually a kindred to a kidnapping charge. I'm not saying he kidnapped me. I'm saying when you prevent somebody from being able to move or go to a place of their choice, that means that you've taken them against their will in some form or fashion. I'm not trying to overinflate it. I'm just telling you that's really what it redounds to. So as you know, the Portland police have had their hands off this stuff right away. Antifa's had the sway. Antifa holds, in the past, have held armed checkpoints on the streets of Portland. Yes, no, really, they have. And they have chased cars, BLM and Antifa chasing cars down there. A friend, who's now a friend of mine, two people I know have personally been assaulted by Antifa. And then they try to get money out of them because they run into their cars. I am not even kidding. One person was held at gunpoint at one of those Antifa checkpoints. And as I strolled through the Antifa encampment on Sunday outside the ICE facility, I knew that this was going to get worse before it gets better. It gets worse at night. The next time I go back, and I do plan to make travel arrangements to come back at night, I will get some more video on what it's like there at nighttime, because that's when all the violent people come out. But as I say, the most shocking part of my encounter on Sunday was a police officer helping me, intervening on my behalf. This has happened. This has never happened, where a police officer intervenes. I've gotten death threats from these people, and the police department say, yeah, we're not doing anything about that. It's not specific enough, They didn't say time, place, manner in which they'd do it. So, I guess you're just going to have to take your chances, Victoria. The first person who was never responded to when the advent of the independent, I guess, street journalists started happening in the 2010s and 11s. Thank you, Andrew Breitbart and James O'Keefe. They were just ignored. They were ignored, and they were told that they had to ask for it. Everybody who's been injured by Antifa in the pursuit of their First Amendment God-given right to tell a story, be a reporter, be out there, and you have every right to be unmolested by these people, have been blown off by the cops. Oh, you deserved it. They never, of course, tell the legacy media that. And as a result of everybody I know being hurt by these people, the legacy media now has a hands-off attitude. They were out there on Sunday afternoon, but they were way, to the, fringes. And so it's, chickens. Now imagine, if you will, however, let's do a thought experiment. Imagine if they had helped Dan Sandini in 2010 when he was punched in the face by a person at a confab for John Kitzhaber. Imagine if they'd stopped the attack on Mike Strickland in 2016. If they'd stopped that Antifa fake de-escalation nutter on the light rail from antagonizing the knife killer, the knife-wielding killer, Jeremy Christian, and perhaps saving lives back in 2017. That was made worse by this idiot, so-called de-escalation person. How about the first attack on Andy Ngo in 2019, and then again after that, and then in 2021 when he was running down the streets of Portland just praying that someone would let him in, a hotel would let him in so he could hide because they were going to kill him. And they told him that. How about if they'd come and intervene on behalf of the Antifa bunch that went after the black rebel, Andrew Duncan? We talked about that the other day. A conservative reporter in 2019. Gee, Black lives didn't matter then, did it? They'd stab the guy. Imagine if they would have taken the threat seriously by at least providing more presence, and maybe Aaron Danielson may not have been assassinated on the streets of Portland. Or maybe if they'd arrested Honey Badger Mom's attacker just the other day at ICE headquarters in Portland, or stopped the assault in Black Eye of Katie Daviscourt. Maybe if they'd done that when she actually, knowing what she knows about the police down there, went and found her own attacker, handed her over with a silver platter to the cops, and they did nothing. They've had a hands-off posture for years. Yes, they have. And the DOJ is looking into these procedures, practices that have left conservatives on the cutting room floor, left fending for themselves. And when they do fend for themselves, arresting the person like, Nick Sorter for defending himself. His charges have been dropped, you'll be very happy to know. So it's been happening for years. And patient zero, if you will, patient zero is Mike Strickland. And I was able to speak with him, and I wanted you to see our discussion. And Mike Strickland, welcome back to the Adult in the Room podcast. How are you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's a little hard to explain how I'm doing watching everything that's gone on over the past, week or month or so, going back to Charlie Kirk, really. But yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's been very interesting. Isn't it interesting that all of the left is responsible for the recent spates of violence? I mean, stop shooting people is basically what I'm saying. Did you guys stop killing people? Stop shooting people. Who's doing the shooting? The lefties. But you got caught up. They're the ones out doing acts of violence. You're the one who got spun up and wrung out by the cops after what happened to you. And if you want to start to tell us a little bit about what happened to you, and I can run it's not going to be B-roll. We're going to hear some yelling and stuff. Do you want to go back over that and look at Mike Bluehair's information?
Sure.
And, okay,
if
cool.
You want, yeah. Or I can maybe give a little bit more background to.
Sure.
To
okay,
all of
go
this
ahead.
Too. So I got started in activism, I guess, around 2010, 2011. And I quickly found my niche as going around and filming these leftist events in the Portland area, whether it be politicians' town halls, the goings on at Portland State University, Portland Community College,
Sorry, I'm just pouring some
the
water.
protests in the streets. I was going down there and, filming the things they're saying, filming the things they're doing, the signs they're carrying, and putting that out for the world to see, because no one was really doing that. And when you actually get on the ground and see this kind of radical, Marxist, Bill Ayers style stuff that's going on at like Portland State University, it's like, man, people need to know about this. So that's how I got started. And I had covered, hundreds of political events. This eventually worked its way into being my actual job, going out and covering these events, whether it be for blogging or selling videos to mainstream news, international news outlets. I was getting hired to do all that stuff. So that kind of brings us to 2016, I guess.
Yeah, you were known as Laughing at Liberals. You had, I don't know how many hits on your YouTube site per month. I mean, thousands upon thousands. You were on national television.
As 2016 wore on, that's when things were really kicking up. That was when all the Trump stuff was kicking up. because he hadn't even been the nominee yet, so he was still running. And so that was still kind of a relatively new thing with Trump running for president. And that just, the protest just got really ramping up there through 2016. So I found more and more work to do.
Yeah. So, this is something I've always wondered about, because I had never heard of Antifa until you said that word to me. And I go, what is that? Obviously anti-fascist is what it supposedly means, but it certainly seems like we're in opposite land, because it turns out they're the fascists, actually. They're the people.
It's like the meme that goes around saying, okay, I call myself the anti-bad guy club. So anybody who opposes me is by default the bad guy. Therefore, I get to beat him up and rob him.
Yeah. There you go. But what I've always wondered about is, you got into trouble in July of 2016. I say you got into trouble. They made trouble for you and you got yourself out of it. But anyway, so how far in advance of that was the intensification of Antifa? Because I remember I thought something was going on in 2015 also. Was that true?
Yeah, well, it was relatively benign and really, really niche for several years, just a small group of people. But again, when I'm seeing all this stuff, stuff that's bubbling in the universities that eventually become mainstream, for example, this whole whiteness thing, hate whitey, white privilege thing, I was covering that 10 years ago before it became a normal thing that everybody just talks about, So
it was such a big deal that Bill O'Reilly had you on. He was using your information.
Yeah. Several of my videos were getting played on national news. Some outlets were hiring me to cover events in the area. So yeah, what I had found is a lot of things that started off bubbling in the universities were really 5 to 10 years ahead of what would eventually become sort of mainstream leftist politics. I think that's one of the reasons that they really hated me, is because I was kind of blowing the whistle on that before it became a major thing. So yeah, Antifa is one of the things that I discovered when I was, covering all these different, far extreme leftist organizations.
And when did you notice that the objective was to go after the reporters who were reporting on their activities? Was it when you were attacked, or was it before? I mean,
Dan and I'd see it a little bit, and other people who would film videos across the country, they'd get harassed a little bit. But people would get in my face, they'd scream and yell. I never really felt like my life was in danger per se at any of these, even going through the Occupy Portland encampments,
Oh yeah, that never occurred to me. I never thought that was dangerous.
Yeah.
No,
so
they were frauds. They were posers, but dangerous.
So yeah, I mean, I got to say, it was when they targeted me there in 2016. That was the first time I saw it on this scale.
July 2016. You're on a street. You're following a "Don't Shoot Portland" Black Lives Matter rally. They have no permit, by the way. They never, for whatever reason, they never seem to have a permit. And so it's on the street. So you're following along and you are covering them. And I have an eyewitness. It's James Peach, who had a high perch of that rally from above. And he saw basically what happened to you. And I talked to him, and he's the only guy I really have video of, I think. But here we go. Where were you again?
So I was up there, up on, up like at the top, and just filming filming stuff that's going on here, and then the humongous crowd that was like filled half the park and half in all the street way down there. It was like over 2,000 people showed up. It was crazy. And so I saw them back there, like behind because there was like a line that ended right about top of the steps. The crowd did, and then over there I saw people talking, and they're agitated, and two of them were my good friends. So I was like, oh, something's gonna go. I wonder what they're doing. But no one knew I don't think anyone knew where I was to come and find me and tell me blah blah blah. Because I was up there, like, I don't know, And so I saw them walk around the building and then come to, there you go. So I saw them around the building, and then Strickland was like,
You mean through this opening?
yeah. There was like a little corridor, hallway.
Loggia thing, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And they walked around that way. So I lost sight of them for a minute, and then saw them come around here. And Strickland was like, I don't know, around there-ish or so. Yeah. And came up, grabbed Strickland. So he approached. It wasn't like an instant, like go and grab him. There was like 5 seconds or so. And then they grabbed Strickland, pulled him out, and there was like scuffling, and I was like, oh shoot, I need to get down because something's happening. I didn't even know who it was or why they were doing it. I just, I was like, I don't have a good angle of this. So I climbed down off that pillar, which took me a minute, and then got through the crowd, and then over there, and by the time I got over there, they were already up the block, and I didn't even know.
So I continued to interview him, and he later said, well, yeah, it was Ben Carenza, and oh yeah, I knew the guys, and oh yeah, I wasn't part of it, but I knew I needed to be over there to record it. And anyway, so what happened there?
That was the first time I've ever seen that video.
I thought I thought that might be the case. I have had it, but I used the audio for the multiple part series I did on your case on the Adult in the Room podcast. So it's on there. It's just not video. I'm glad you have that. You can have it if you want. I'll send it to you. Yeah. So, okay. So that's James Peach. I can't remember his last name at the moment, but anyway, what do you think?
His testimony and the testimony of someone else who was neither of them were called to the witness stand. Testimonies probably could have helped out.
Yeah, well,
we can get into that a little later or now if you want about the specifics
we're gonna,
that, or we can keep going in chronological order or whatever you want here.
What we're gonna do is that was the first attack on you. So you had a mob of people come around you. I have other testimony from them, both the Blue Hair, Mike Blue Hair, and James Peach. Everybody has a pseudonym, folks. It's just what happens on the street. What can I tell you?
Street names, yeah.
Yeah. So they said that they saw a 300-pound person who goes black bloc.
400 pounds.
Oh, he's 400? Holy
400
crap.
pounds.
And he put hands on your shoulders and he manhandled you and threw you through the crowd to get you out. So he was the enforcer for Antifa that day, and he was an Antifa activist. We know who he is. And anyway, so they did that initially. They injured you then. You also talked about how they had their flagpoles and they hit you. And the flagpole that recently hit Katie Daviscourt was a metal flagpole that had a floppy end so they can whip it. Was that similar to what happened with you?
So they did not actually hit me with the flagpoles, but that was one of the things I was afraid of because, having covered several of these events over the years, I've actually seen them use those flagpoles as weapons to break out windows. So I remember there was, I don't remember if it was a longshoreman. It was some kind of union protest in Longview around 2010, 2011.
Oh, yes. I remember.
Yep. Yeah, they had to fix spikes to the bottom of like baseball bats, or they had disguised their signs as baseball bats so they could hit people with them. So I'm well aware that those things could be used as weapons. And when you've got, 5, 6, 7, 10 of those people around you with that, that was definitely something I was concerned with. But no, they did not actually hit me with them. And I like to think one of the reasons they didn't was because, back when I used to cover these things on the streets, I would always make sure to have my camera on a monopod. It's not a tripod with 3 legs, it's just a monopod with one leg out. And for multiple reasons, you can be, the shots are more stable with that, even when you're walking.
Right.
You could also extend it out and plant it on the ground. If you're just going to be in one spot for 5 or 10 minutes, it'll be more stable. You can extend it out to get over their signs or umbrellas or whatever they want to do to get in your way.
Yes.
But in this particular case, when they started coming after me, I flipped it upside down to use as sort of an intermediary non-lethal option here. If they're going to try to hit me with the flagpoles, I at least have something that's equal to that I can use to kind of block whatever they're trying to do to me. So that's why if you see the videos of me flipping the monopod over, that's why I did that.
So but they'd never been that violent with you before.
No, never.
And so after that, you saw another mob come toward you, and I wanted to show you the Mike Bluehair video, which is like pretty much the video besides anything. Yours were under wraps for so long because you were taking video, but they were under wraps for a while because they were not allowed to be seen because it was a prosecutable offense, and so the cops took them away. So here we have Mike Bluehair's video. He's another guy.
If I could set this up for a second,
please do.
He started rolling his video after the initial attack. So
right, he said he never saw it.
Yeah. So Ben Carenza is the 400-pound guy who led the mob to come after me. He's got a lengthy criminal history. He's been in and out of federal prison 3 times. Been arrested and in prison, found guilty of all sorts of different offenses over the years. I've personally seen him at other events over the last couple months, but before this had happened, intimidating people and whatnot. So I know he's a bad character. It's not like some random person is coming along. I know this guy has bad intent. So so they come up from my left side, and they basically encircled me, and he starts pushing and shoving me. A guy who's literally twice my size.
Oh, absolutely.
Pushing and shoving me. You need to get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking racist. Get the fuck out.
Right.
I start backing away. I'm like, dude, I'm not
Hey, racist. Hey, racist.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm backing away because I don't want trouble. I'm not there to fight. I'm there to do my job. I'm there to film the event. I'm not there debating people. I'm not there arguing with people. In fact, at this event, hardly anyone remembers even why they were out there that night. But I remember it. They don't even remember the name of the guy, Philando Castile.
Oh, I remember Philando Castile.
This was the protest for him. And when they were chanting his name, I was chanting his name along with the crowd because I was 100% on that kid's side.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Shot. Yeah.
He got shot. Now, tell people about Philando Castile. Wasn't that Minneapolis also?
Yeah, it was outside of Minneapolis. It was one of the suburbs. He'd gotten pulled over. His girlfriend was driving. He was in the passenger seat. And, the cops come. I don't even remember why they were getting pulled over. But he's like, yeah, just so you know, I have a concealed carry license. Here it is, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember the exact specifics anymore. But they end up shooting the guy. He's trying to tell them, yeah, here's my concealed license.
He's reaching into his pocket. Remember, he was reaching into his pocket. To get his, I think, what was it? His license, wasn't it?
I don't remember exactly, but they ended up shooting this guy, and I'm 100% on the guy's side. I'm a Second Amendment purist. I'm a constitutional purist. So that's what this protest was for. So they're pushing, shoving me, and I'm trying to back away because obviously they are there to fight. I'm not. And then Blue Hair's video picks up about 10 seconds after the initial attack began.
Okay, so 10 seconds later, this is what everybody sees. Okay. Before he starts talking, I want you to sort of talk us through this. Is it hard to watch this?
A little bit, yeah, but I'm all right.
Well, now, why did you pull your gun?
So I'm backing away the whole time. Like I said, these guys are obviously there to fight. I'm not there to fight. I don't want any trouble. So I'm trying to back away from these guys, and so they're starting to take steps towards me as I'm backing away. And then more and more people come running into the scene. I don't know who a lot of these people are. We'll get to that a little bit later too, as far as identities of other people. So I don't know who these people are. All I know is I have a mob of people in this mob mentality who just committed acts of violence against me that I'm trying to get away from. They've showed every intent that not only have they already committed crimes against me, but they intend to commit more crimes against me.
Yeah. It's
being
kind of
outnumbered. Yeah.
Oh, and it was just kind of like what we see often happen to people who are reporters. There's been an issue with that. They get rid of the people telling the truth about them. To be perfectly frank, I'm not going to candy coat it. They go after the people showing their pictures and talking about them. And this is sort of their MO.
And this was one of the first instances of that here in Portland. Because up until this
Absolutely.
moment, these protests really were mostly peaceful. I had rarely seen a punch thrown. I'd seen some arguments, yeah, but maybe 5 punches thrown over the 6 years I'd been covering this stuff.
Right.
So it really was mostly peaceful.
And Peach
up to
and
that
Blue,
point.
Peach and Blue Hair tell me, and Singer too. These are people I interviewed for the series of reports I did on the Adult in the Room podcast about Mike Strickland's case, and that was they all said, "Well, nobody liked Mike. I mean, he was just a dick. He was a jerk. We didn't like that guy." But that's not a crime. Okay, that's not a crime.
Yeah, so they start coming after me, and if you watch all the videos from this, you can see more videos of this on my YouTube channel, Laughing at
Yes.
Liberals.
Laughing at liberals.
I've actually have a multi-camera compilation of everything
Yes.
in real time. One thing that you'll notice throughout all of this is, what are you not seeing?
Police.
Police. This was the first protest of anywhere near this size. I would estimate the crowd to be 1,000, but like Peach had said there in that little interview, upwards of 2,000. I don't know, several hundred at least, maybe 1,000.
That crowd looks bad.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And this is the first protest of anywhere near that size where there was no visible police presence. Up to that point, when there's a protest of that kind, of march of some kind, police aren't rushing in riot gear and making arrests and dropping tear gas and whatnot. They're kind of on the sides. They're just kind of monitoring. Usually it's like a couple rows of cops on bikes. They're just kind of monitoring what's going on. If things start to get a little out of hand, they call them the mounted patrol. Those guys come in. If things escalate from there, then they bring in, Portland calls their riot teams the rapid response team. So if things really escalate, then they bring in those guys. But there was none of that this time. Had the police been there following their own directives that say there should be a large visible presence at unpermitted spontaneous protests, then I doubt the gang ever would have come after me. Even if they would have, I just would have maneuvered myself towards the police line. They probably would have left me alone.
Well,
But
that's what all
instead-
the mainstream media, they always stay away. They always stay away.
Nowadays, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Because of you.
This was when it all started. This is when the police began their hands-off approach. And this is what happens when we're left to fend for ourselves, which honestly, I have no problem fending for myself, as long as I'm not the one getting in trouble for preventing people from committing major crimes against me.
Correct. Well, let's keep watching.
Put the gun down. Back up. Hey.
So at that
Put
point,
the gun down.
So as I'm backing away, more and more people come rushing in, and I see this one guy coming up from my, 5 o'clock position or so. My attention is distracted over that way. Then I see someone coming along from what was then my blind side. I happen to come around and see it. I'm trying to keep track of all these people coming at me, screaming and yelling. It's just a crazy, chaotic, dynamic situation. People running in and out from all these different sides. So having just been assaulted, trying to get away from them, more people come rushing in. At that point, I felt like these guys were just 2 seconds away from just gang stomping me into the ground there. So at that point, they had given every indication that they intend to do some kind of massive crime against me. I had given every intention that I don't want to fight. I'm backing away. And I had been through concealed carry license classes. I actually had 2 concealed licenses. I had one for Oregon and one for Utah, which is good in like 36 or 37 other states. I'd been through even further training from DPSST instructors. So, at that point, I used verbal commands, telling them to back away from me. I was backing away, showing indications I wasn't there to fight. I implemented my monopod as a non-lethal option. None of these things deterred the gang from continuing to come after me. Therefore, I felt like I was left with with no trouble. I can't outrun them. Am I supposed to turn my back to these threats and try to outrun them when I'm weighed down by my backpack and camera gear? You know, and plus, in Oregon law, you don't need to retreat before exerting self-defense.
There is no duty to retreat, but yet that came back to haunt you later. And just because you allegedly came back, at least that's what the judge says. Fine, okay, maybe that's what happened, but is that a reason why someone cannot defend themselves?
Hey, if you want to safely leave, I'll keep people away from you. Hey, dude.
He looks nice.
I don't want to get shot.
Oh, yeah.
Back the fuck up.
So does that guy right there.
Yeah, tell me about these people.
So the guy in the tan pants, he was at, so even the, we really want to get into the minutia of the case here.
Well, I mean, I want you to give us some color commentary of these characters coming after you.
Okay, so the guy, back up to a couple more frames.
Sure.
Let it play and I'll say stop.
Sure, okay. Let's do it.
Safely leave, I'll keep people away from you. Hey, dude.
Couple more
dude?
frames.
Seriously. I don't want to get shot.
Oh, stop right there. That guy in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
He began to be referred to as Mr. Tan Pants in the trial because we didn't know his name. He had never come forward. We never identified him. He is very aggressive. He actually drops his backpack as he's posturing up towards me.
Yeah, he's squaring up on you.
Even the state's expert witness, who was allowed to testify after both sides had rested, even he admitted that this guy was a threat, that I had properly identified him with a threat, that he had no problem with me drawing my gun on this guy, or Carenza, the 400-pound guy with a lengthy criminal history, who started it all.
Sure.
So, yeah. So if you notice, I pulled my gun out. I addressed pretty much everyone I considered in my peripheral there to be a direct threat to me. They had proven as such, you know? And so I pulled out my gun, made sure everyone was away from me. And if you notice, I'm even still backing away. Even when I'm drawn, I am still backing away, creating distance. So that was finally enough to get these guys to leave me alone. They all stopped. They all backed up.
That's because
was deterred. And you see me reholster my gun because the threat was deterred at that point. There was no reason for me to have the gun out anymore.
Mike Bluehair was also coaching people to get the heck out of the way. Go back. Leave them alone.
Back the fuck up. Portland police will be here very soon.
What's interesting is for people who don't know the layout of Portland, that is the central precinct right there. That's where this thing was taking place at, was the stairs of the central precinct. Yeah. No police anywhere to be seen. They're watching this unfold. They had notice of this event in the afternoon that it was going to happen. It's right out front of their headquarters, not a single uniformed officer to be seen. And since then, since this happened, that's been the MO. Hands off, let whatever happens, happens. So, I mean, if they want chaos in the streets, there's going to be chaos in the streets. What are we paying them $300 million a year for?
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Hey, look at me. Everyone, hey, leave. Leave so you'll be safe.
I was in a bit of a state of shock.
Oh, I'm sure. Eventually you go, I guess you communicated to Bluehair that you didn't want, I'm not turning my back on these people.
Yeah.
So
I was in a bit of state of shock right there because I'd never seen anything like that happen to me. I'd never had to draw my gun.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that before. So.
Leave so you will be safe. All right.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy in the hat? Just right on top of you. Who is this guy? That guy. Who's that?
I don't know.
Okay.
So what's interesting here, and I guess maybe we can talk about this now or talk about it later, but
sure. Go ahead now.
One of the interesting things, one of the many contentions that we brought up on the various appeals in this case is the indictment lists 10 alleged victims, yet none of them are named by name. So all of these people that we see who are the alleged victims, they never came forward. They never made complaints to the police. They were never identified. They never testified. I was denied my right to face my accusers.
Well, I think they were sort of making up your accusers is what they were probably doing. They would have come forward.
In the indictment, it just lists vague descriptions. You know,
guy with backpack.
Guy with backpack and a hooded sweatshirt. You know.
Yep. And anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I would have not have remembered to mention that. A huge thing, but
can we let him turn his back? He's afraid to turn his damn back, so we need to keep the crowd away from him. All right? He's afraid to turn his back. We need to keep. Don't talk. Turn this way and keep the.
One more thing. It is a Don't Shoot Portland event, and so of course the news media could not resist the irony of a shooting almost happening at a Don't Shoot Portland event. I mean, as a reporter, I would have eaten that up like catnip. And they did, and then they forgot what the real story was.
Crowd away from him. He's afraid to turn his back, so let him walk away. All right? He's afraid to turn his back, so let him walk away.
Hey, I need 5 men alive.
Seriously. Seriously, 5 people right here. He just wants to fucking leave. He's afraid to turn his back. Just let him leave. All right? Seriously, we don't need one of these little kids shot. We don't need.
Any commentary? That last few seconds?
Well, going back a few seconds there about the media, the only thing the media showed was the 7 seconds where I had the gun out. They didn't show anything leading up to that.
Oh yeah, they love that photo.
Becomes crazy guy shows up, pulls a gun on protesters.
Right. Oh, he's a conservative Nazi.
Zero context as to what had happened.
Yeah.
And of course, my video was immediately seized by police and then ordered sealed by the judge, so the public couldn't see it. I was banned from talking to media, banned from going on Twitter, banned from posting YouTube videos. I literally couldn't state my case.
So from the get-go, as your appeals attorney, Robert Barnes, pointed out later, too late, this was always a First Amendment case. This was never a Second Amendment case per se. And unfortunately, you had Second Amendment attorneys who are excellent attorneys for as far as they can go, but this was a politically hyped case, and it was always about your freedom of speech and them being able to shut you down. And I've never forgotten that. And would you like to say anything more about that besides just giving us the entire list of things you couldn't do as a result of getting caught up in this?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was stating even from the beginning. This is a First Amendment case. And, you know, it comes down to, does a person have the right to stand in a public area holding a video camera, filming a public event, which other media are at, where the media was invited to cover?
Right.
Does the person have the right to do that? Or does a gang of masked thugs carrying weapons have the right to use force, threats, and intimidation to prevent a person from doing that? The judge eventually said, yes, the gang has the right to do that. See someone in the street you don't like, you can gang up and shove him out. If he tries to stop you, that's the person who gets arrested. They're effectively rewarding gang violence.
Of course they are. So were you not shocked at what happened to me on Sunday in Portland? That the cop was, I mean, in fact, that the cops were there, because they've had a hands-off attitude ever since your situation. They've come and gone occasionally, but the fact that he got in that guy's grill for assaulting me, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess sometimes they do the right thing. I don't know. I'm happy to see that. I mean, they
didn't know who I was. I was all blocked up, actually. I was just in, so I had my face was covered, my head was covered, my body was covered. I mean, they didn't know I could be, Antifa television for all they knew. But let's keep going.
One of these little kids shot. Let's just fucking let him go. It ain't worth it. Shit ain't worth it. Seriously. Leave. Go. Leave.
And you can see I'm backing away slowly. Because it's kind of like dealing with an angry dog. If you try to run from the angry dog, that's just going to tip him up.
Bad idea.
If you're backing away slowly from the angry dog, he's less likely to jump towards you. So that's what was going on through my mind, is I need to back away slowly. I need to continue observing everything that's going on, try to assess everything, try to keep track of, what might be another potential threat, which does rear its head here in another few seconds.
Go! We got you! Go! Hold this line! Don't follow follow him. He's afraid to turn his back. You want a little kid shot, don't follow him. He's afraid to turn his back. That's why he's not leaving.
Okay, let him go.
This whole crowd, he was afraid the whole crowd was going to attack him, all right?
Just one rule.
Well, when he pulls out a gun, of course they're going to...
Seriously.
Here come the cop.
Here comes the right. Here comes the right. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. Thank y'all. Everybody.
Oh,
that's
him.
here and
I
help
wonder what he's
out.
doing now.
Seriously.
What if he's out of jail?
Ryan Goons are about to say what thanks. I'm just trying to keep the kid from getting shot or something. You understand my motivation, right?
He looks friendly.
Okay.
If you give me cup twice. If you give me cup twice. Everybody put your hands up. Now everybody be
Hands
quiet.
up.
Hey, I need quietness.
Get away from him. Dude.
So stop it. Stop it here. So
Yep.
this guy in the middle with his back towards us, coming towards me, who's wearing all black there. His
Mhm.
name is Jelani Matulu Sharif. I don't remember the rest of his name. I think he's got 4 names. Jelani Matulu Sharif. I don't remember, but he has been putting on, which I had personally seen, Black Panther training sessions in the Portland area. In fact,
You have video. Earlier in the day, didn't you take video of him?
Oh yeah. So this guy, about an hour before this, so the protest gathered in Pioneer Square there, which for those who don't live in Portland is maybe 5 blocks, kind of kitty corner diagonally to this. He grabs a megaphone and he's sitting there saying things like, you know, if you see the police messing with someone and you don't pull your gun out and blast them, you're going to have problems with me. He's encouraging people to shoot police. And if you don't shoot police, he's going to come after you and assault you. And now he's coming up on me. And I've seen this guy about a month prior to this. There was an event at Portland State University. The Students for Trump were putting on an event. This guy shows up. He starts threatening an old man who was there in the crowd. You know, him, some other girl, and like this La Raza Mecha, you know, militant, you know, Chicano type guy. They're threatening to beat this old guy up.
Oh.
So I personally have knowledge of this particular individual causing trouble, threatening violence, training people to be violent, and now he's coming up on me.
Look, we got people holding people away from you. Let him leave, dude. Look, let him leave. Dude, he just wants to leave. Let him leave.
Now we got this guy right here.
We have this guy. His name is George Lackas. He has been in and out of jail, arrested dozens of times over the years, usually for petty drug stuff, petty crime stuff. Now he's coming up on me from behind. Notice my attention is diverted. He's using that to his advantage right now.
I'm not turning my camera off. I'm good.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Dude!
This is when you pull out your monopod and you start using it as a weapon.
That was even before. This was the second time I had done that.
Gotcha.
So see, Mr. Tan Pants there has now shed his shirt. He's now shirtless coming up on me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So pause it again right here.
Dude, he's afraid.
Sure.
Pause again. So you'll notice a guy in the blue raincoat
Blue sweater.
there.
Oh.
His name is Aaron Gupta, and he was a writer for Raw Story, I think.
Oh, really?
And he was relatively new, right there, right in the left.
Okay,
there.
got him right here.
He was relatively new to the Portland area, dispatched to the Portland area, I assume, by Raw Story. And the only reason I can figure that is because the left had to do something to counter the person who was doing major stories for the right-wing outlets, me, for things like Gateway Pundit and similar organizations to that, because I had a monopoly on the underground political stories that were going on. So they had to send this guy and another guy named Jason Wilson, not the black firefighter, a different Jason Wilson, to the Portland area, working for Alternate, I think it was. I'm not even sure.
Oh
if
yeah, I
they're still a
remember that.
thing. But yeah, those guys had to start covering things. They had to start doing damage control on the stories I was coming up with, and this guy just happened to be there, right in the prime position to get all of this.
Oh, are you serious? Do you think that was planned then?
I mean,
clearly it was a conspiracy to go get you the first time.
Yes.
And then it was a conspiracy to get you the second time. It wouldn't take a lot.
I consider it all the same event. I don't consider it a second time or a third time.
Oh, no, I do. I think they're separate offenses.
I think it's the whole thing. But I'll sum it up like, you see the way these people are coming after me.
Sure.
It's like this. If you don't want to get shot, don't gang up and start fights with people in the street, because that's a good way to get shot. Just leave someone alone, you know?
Yeah.
Turn his back with all these.
And what, I can't remember his name. Not
Jesse
this guy.
Sponberg?
Yeah, Sponberg.
Yeah, there's Jesse Sponberg in the light blue sweater there. He was
Jesse
Occupy Portland organizer.
Yeah, we knew him about, Occupy Portland those days.
And he was the one, people may remember. There were the street preachers or something at the Portland airport. I don't remember exactly what was going on.
Oh, I remember
there
that.
were preacher guys holding the signs and some protests going on in the airport. Jesse Sponberg is wearing a mask. He comes up behind one of these street preachers, cold cocks him from the side and knocks him out. He was never charged with any crimes. He's on camera saying, "Yes, that was me. I did it." Never arrested, never charged with any crime.
He never. I thought he did. I thought he. No. Yeah, no, I thought he did.
No.
Oh, I know he had some trouble with the law after that, though, because they found his
little
confession.
Things. Yeah, little things like, trespass and disorderly conduct and whatnot. But no, never anything that came from that. They said, no, you see someone you don't like holding a sign you don't like, you can cold cock them from the side and get away with it.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I mean, that's exactly what's been going on against the right for obviously many years.
I'm leaving, guys. I am leaving.
Michael, what's your...
Dude,
I got it. Let him go.
Dude, we don't need one of these little kid shots. Chill.
I know you're with him.
I'm not with him, dude.
Who's this dude?
He is a union guy. I don't remember his name exactly, but now all of a sudden he's turning on Mike Bluehair. Now, Mike Bluehair, for those who don't know, he was also a street videographer. He was covered even more events than I had been over the years. I mean, if anything, a lot of what he did was more to the left than to the right, depending on what's going on. For the most part, he was, well respected by everyone. I mean, I have respect for him. I have respect for Joe Anybody, who is also filming stuff. I mean, anybody who's out there filming what's really going on, I have respect for you. So, now they're starting to turn against Mike Bluehair.
Yeah.
With him. You have no idea who the fuck I am.
You're with him. You're
really?
Mike Bluehair. I know you.
Yeah, Mike Bluehair. I'm not with him.
Yeah, you are.
I'm with film the police Portland. I'm with film the police Portland.
You're with him. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you don't know me.
I know you're with him.
No, I'm not.
I know you are.
Film the police Portland.
I don't care.
Right.
You're with him.
I'm not with him. I'm not with him.
Yeah, fuck that.
Fuck you.
I know.
Fuck you.
Yeah, they got to get into some new words to use.
Yeah, you got you.
This is just an example of the mob mentality. One person accuses someone of being something, then you see other people come rushing and screaming, yelling at them. They don't even know who this guy is.
I know who he is. I'm trying to keep
all know who he is.
Right. Okay, good. Then you know he's just afraid to turn his back. Good. Google film the police Portland.
So do we need to go on? Because eventually you get arrested. You're on the ground. You're the one who. You lay on the ground in front of the cops and said, "I know you're going to want to arrest me."
And I tried. Now, Ben Carenza, the 400-pound guy who started the whole thing, he's continuing to follow me this whole time. He's sort of off to the side, off to the peripheral through all of this, letting me be distracted. But when I'm on the ground and I'm trying to explain to police, I was attacked by a gang. There's the guy who led the attack right there, 20 feet from me as I'm laying on the ground. There's the guy who led the attack. It's all on video. It's on my camera. Cops didn't care anything about what I had to say.
Right. Yeah, I actually have a picture of that, but I'll have to, it'll take me a minute to find it. So I do want to find out if you recall, I did a GIF of this or GIF or whatever we're calling it this year. This guy, and let me see if I can find it. Let me just see. Hold on, everybody.
Well, you're looking for that. I just want to say, since this may be shown to a jury at an eventual point in time, my sole purpose here was trying to stop these people from committing crimes against me. At no point was I intending to commit any sort of crime. I thought my actions were in line with the law because I thought their actions were unlawful towards me. So, the self-defense law is basically, if you believe that someone is committing unlawful force or imminent unlawful force against you, you can defend yourself. I viewed their acts as committing multiple crimes against me. I viewed their intentions or their actions as being further intent that they intended to commit even more crimes against me. That's why I drew my gun. I am thankful that everybody stopped at that point. I'm very thankful that that was finally enough force to deter them. Because I was taught use the minimal amount of force to deter the threat. If the monopod didn't do it, if backing away didn't do it, verbal commands didn't do it, drawing the gun finally did. I'm very, very thankful that nobody came running up on me when I had my gun drawn, because I would have had to shoot them at that point. Now, an even scarier part of this was, so there's no uniformed police in this. There are a couple of undercover cops who were there.
You learned later. Yeah.
As I learned later. And in the police reports, they're talking about how they were ready to draw down and engage me. And put yourself in my shoes for a second. You have this chaotic situation breaking out. You have all these people coming at you, trying to get away. Now imagine a plainclothes officer jumping out of the crowd, no uniform, no badge, nothing to indicate he's a cop. He starts drawing a gun and says, "Freeze, police." Are you going to believe him?
I don't know.
I would have gotten into a shoot. I would have had to kill police officers because of their refusal to follow their basic directives to have a visible presence at this thing. I'm very thankful that it did not come to that. Yeah, that's Ben Carenza right there, the 400-pound guy with the long criminal history. There he is at another event.
An avowed Muslim these days. Isn't that great? A terrorist and a Muslim. Gee, who saw that one coming?
And we call him a terrorist because he's made bomb threats to
sure.
To
no, it's legit.
Centers.
Federal offense, yeah.
Yes.
No, he's done time in the big house for that. So I'm sure he'll try to sue me again or try to get this vanquished.
So if I haven't made it clear, my sole purpose there was defense of myself. And if I would have had to do harm to someone else, the only reason would have been to prevent them from doing harm to me.
Mm-hmm. It would have been tough to do it in a crowd, though. Got to tell you, that would have been hard. Don't you wish that you had some mace or something with you that day that you could have used?
I don't know.
Because I know people have said, well, if he really was scared for his life, why didn't he shoot him? And it's like, well, they're in a crowd, and
yeah. No, I've had people ask that too, and I've had cops talk about that sort of thing. So in the second where I'm drawing they're a threat to me. I start to pull the gun out. Now they cease to become a threat as they back away. So in that short time span there was when they ceased to be a threat. And again, I'm still creating distance from them. That's when they finally start backing away. That's when they ceased to be a threat. That's why I reholstered after 7 seconds. I deterred the threats. I neutralized the threats, and I reholstered because they were no longer threats.
And you trained a lot, obviously, on your gun, with your gun. And so you went to the range a lot. You had friends who went to the range with you. This was not.
I've had professional instruction from DPSST instructors, the people who trained the police.
Right. So you knew what to do. Now, so then what happened was you were arrested, and then eventually you think for a second that you might not be prosecuted. You thought you were going to be released, and you were released, but then all of a sudden there's a superseding indictment, and they throw the book at you.
Well, it depends how far in the weeds we want to go here.
I just want you go to trial, and let's take it.
Well, hold on, we're skipping a lot of stuff here between now and
that's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, I like the jury selection part of it. I think that was pretty telling, and that sort of thing. When you have the anti-gun people who were in the jury pool.
Well, even the rest of that evening. So they get me on the ground. They handcuff me. They throw me in the other car. They take me all the way out to the East Precinct because they were going to book me there. Then they put me in another car. Then they say, no, we're going to take you to Central Precinct. So I'm in the back of the other car. That's when they finally read me my Miranda rights, actually.
Oh, geez.
So we get towards downtown, then they hear across the radio Central Precinct's closed because of the protest. Even the police are concerned with how volatile this crowd is getting, that they don't want to have a police vehicle driving into Central Precinct. So they eventually bring me in there. When I drew, it happened at about 7:37 p.m., if we want to get specific. It wasn't until like 11:30 when they finally actually taken me there, and they locked me in this cell for about an hour and a half because they didn't know what to charge me with. So they finally charged me with 2 misdemeanors of disorderly conduct and menacing. And they released me, and they told me to show back up at, I think, 2 p.m. that same morning, because by now it's 4:30 a.m.
Gotcha.
I've been waiting around in there for that long. So yeah, I show up at 2 p.m. for the arraignment. And that morning I'd hired an attorney. So I show up there with the attorney. And unbeknownst to me, this other guy who turns out was involved with organizing the gang to come after me, his name is John Slaughter. Now, I barely knew who this guy was. He had gotten in my face screaming and yelling at me at an event about a month prior. You had alluded a little bit to the Micah.
Yes.
Micah
Shea?
No, Micah
Shea. Well, that's a person on TV. Sorry.
Micah
I don't
Rhodes was
remember.
a pedophile. Micah someone. But he was the guy who got his throat slashed on the Max train there.
That's right.
But he was someone who also had gotten in my face, screaming and yelling at me at this event. Again, about a month prior to this, that John Slaughter had gotten in my.
This was at a memorial march or what have you for the terrorist attack on a gay club in.
Yes, the one in Orlando.
Orlando.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
I was there covering. I'm going to sell it to news or whatever. But yeah, a bunch of people got in my face screaming and yelling. It didn't reach the level of physicality where I felt that I needed to draw. There was heavy police presence. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so John Slaughter's in my face screaming and yelling at me. Right. I don't know who this guy is. Turns out he doesn't know who I am, because I saw a Facebook post where he's posting about me saying, "Hey, does anybody know who this guy is?" Yet he's in my face screaming and yelling at me, calling me some white racist nationalist. And then he's like, "Who is this guy? How can you call me?"
I don't really know him. I'm just using these words. Yeah.
So it turns out about a week after that thing there where he had gotten in my face, he had filed this false police report claiming that I was calling him and messaging him these race-based threats. Like, I don't even know who this guy is. So I don't find out about this until I show up for the arraignment after I had to draw the gun. The district attorney, so there's about 80 deputy district attorneys who work in Multnomah County. This one, Kate Molina, she pulls out this phony police report, which I never even knew existed, because I don't even know who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's reading this in front of the judge, in front of the media, and she's reading this claiming, yes, Strickland is a white nationalist. He's got white supremacist views. He's associated with all these groups. This is all news to me. I'm just a dude standing there holding the camera.
I'm sorry to laugh, but
she's claiming that I drove by this John Slaughter guy's house in the passenger seat of some truck, that I had done my hand like a gun towards him driving by his side. Who is egotistical enough to think that I would care or waste my time? I have better things to do than that. I would never do such a thing. Well, but she's reading this like it's fact in front of the judge to now justify throwing me back into jail on a $250,000 bond.
Yeah.
And now throwing felony charges on this based in part to this false thing that she's reading in front of the media. So now the media headlines are, "Man who pulled gun on protesters, previous history of white supremacist groups." I'm like, what? This is all news to me. So as we get closer to trial here, we motion for change of venue because there had been such a media storm. And it's not just that there's a media storm. I understand there's going to be a media storm on certain cases for certain things that are high profile. But when the media is saying untrue things about someone that are fed to the media by the district attorneys themselves, that's where it becomes a problem. That's what really starts to taint the jury pool.
Yeah. And by the way, the jury pool in Multnomah County is like trying to get Donald Trump a fair trial in Washington, D.C. It's that bad, that overwhelmingly bad. So then eventually you decide that after you find out who's in the jury pool, I mean, including...
Well, I got to say one more thing here. So
Please
I
do.
was thrown in jail on that $250,000 bond. Like I don't know what the heck to do at this point. So just trying to do what I can, trying to make notes in jail and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I also kind of looked at it as kind of a journalistic endeavor being in there. I'm talking with some of the other inmates.
Oh,
in
sure,
there,
yeah.
their side of the story of things that happen, things that go on. And so fortunately, there were so many people who, even without being able to see my video, which is the only video that shows the initial attack, even without seeing that, there were enough people, yourself, Lars Larson, the two of you in particular, really helped to get this out. And then eventually Oregon Firearms Federation with Kevin Starrett.
Oh, God, those guys are great. Just great.
They'd put together a donation pool. And with the help from them, we were able to raise bail. So a lot of times, depending on the jurisdiction, you may see a bond or bail listed at a certain amount. The actual money you have to put down is actually 1/10 of that. So in this case, it was $25,000 that had to be come up with for that. Meanwhile, I was still recovering from the massive injury. We haven't even talked about this. The massive injury I had suffered the year before, where my arm was shattered. I was still recovering both physically and financially from that. So fortunately, Oregon Firearms Federation, Lars Larson, yourself, Dan Sandini, so many other people were able to raise enough funds to help me get bailed out, help me pay for attorneys, and then I could start fighting my own fights. I wasn't too shackled, but I was at that point in time after I was bailed out. I was then ordered banned from posting on Twitter, posting YouTube videos, blogging, talking to media. I could even go to political events. Had I gone to a political event of some kind, I would have been rearrested, thrown back in jail, and I would have been on the hook for the $250,000 at that point.
Yeah. Well, and then where else do you want to go from here? Do you want to talk about your trial?
We can go there if you want. I can go on for hours. It depends.
I know we can't do that. I mean, I'd love to, but I'm sure that I just kind of want to make sure that since it is on the public consciousness, that you get an opportunity to tell your story and that it's brief enough so that people will want to see it and watch it. But one of the things that happened was, and I'll bring up the jury pool again. Oh, the Oregonian was the only one to mention this. And that was the fact that there were anti-gun people trying to get on that jury and called in, and they almost made it on the jury. And that's when you guys said, okay, I guess we're just going to do a bench trial because this jury's not going to give us any fairness, objectivity whatsoever. This is absurd. So
yeah, there were people in the jury pool who had been to events that I had covered. There was one person in there who was part of an activist group that I had done a lot of stories about. They're called Ceasefire Oregon. They're a rabid anti-constitutional group. And their head spokesperson of non-specific gender, I don't want to get sued for misgendering anyone. Penny Yokomoto, had gone around giving all sorts of, public speeches and whatnot, saying the most insane things, getting the most basic things wrong regarding, what current laws are, what's allowed and blah, blah, blah. So I had done tons of videos and stories on this person. One of the members of her organization was in the jury pool. So this jury pool, they had already seen the story. They had several of them were already familiar with me even before the incident happened. None of them liked me to begin with. So that's why we had motioned for a change of venue, because we knew the jury pool was going to be tainted, and Judge Thomas Ryan had denied our motion for that. And we get to the jury selection, and every concern we had was brought up. And there were further safety concerns. These Antifa groups were so brazen at that point. They are on Facebook creating events saying, "Stop Mike Strickland. We intend to go down to the courthouse, interfere with the witnesses, stop witnesses from testifying. We want to interfere with his trial, interfere with the jury." They are publicly posting about this on Facebook.
And nobody went to jail for that, right?
Nobody went to jail for that.
I was just looking for my old. As you can see, I'm looking at my deleted voicemails. I have one from Penny Yokomoto back in the day.
Really?
And I was looking
okay.
at. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. But I'm afraid I'll get sent to jail if I play it on the air. But I think maybe I used it. I might have used it in the podcast series. Okay, so no jury. You are found guilty of a lesser number of things.
No.
Originally.
No.
Okay,
No.
go.
So after that surprise thing that Kate Molina had done, pulling out that phony police report.
Did you ever get that tossed to them? Didn't you?
Well, there were never the phony police report. Nothing ever came of that specifically. Okay. So that tells me that she knows it was fake because she never pursued any charges from it. It would have been some kind of racial bias or something like that. The night that he's claiming that I drove by his house with my gun and with my hand in the shape of a gun pointing towards him, I was caring for 2 injured cats at home that night.
Oh, I remember that.
So why would I waste my time? I don't care who this guy is, even though he's
a cat guy. Everybody.
I don't care.
He likes little kitty cats, and can I tell you, how many cats do you have now?
Just one.
Okay, just checking.
So that morning when I showed back up for the indictment, she had now upped it from those 2 misdemeanors now for 2 felony charges of unlawful use of a weapon. And then coming out of the grand jury, which in Oregon, a lot of people don't know this. If you're a defendant in Oregon, you have the right to go before the grand jury if you want to. You don't have to wait for them to call you to it. You can have your attorney say, hey, my client wants to testify to the grand jury.
But no defense attorney would want you to do that, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah. I went down there and testified.
But was your attorney telling you not to do that? Because they can't go in with you. Oh, okay,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, it was good. So I could tell my side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like I walked in and they go, yeah, these guys, these are punks and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I'm just there trying to do my job.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I thought I had to do to stop these guys from doing serious harm to me.
Okay.
So after the grand jury, that had now, so what started off as the 2 misdemeanors were then bumped to the 2 misdemeanors plus 2 felonies of unlawful use of a weapon. Then after the grand jury, they had indicted me on 21 charges total, 10 counts of felony unlawful use of a weapon, 10 counts of misdemeanor menacing, and 1 count of disorderly conduct. The violent thugs who started it all, they're considered the innocent victims.
They were the victims. They were the guy with the backpack, the girl with the skirt, the other people with the tan pants. They were all John Does, and no one showed up to testify. Maybe 1.
2 of them did. 1 was Benjamin Carenza, the 400-pound guy who started the fight.
The poor victim.
And the other was Malcolm Chaddock. He was the older guy who was the one who had my attention distracted to that way when the mob's coming after me. Now, leading up to the event, I've seen Malcolm Chaddock at various other events. I know he's part of this Veterans for Peace group.
Oh, yes.
And I've seen him causing trouble at protests, committing crimes. I've seen him at Portland State University as part of the group that crashed the board meetings there at Portland State University. He's like he's participating in sit-ins in the hallways and whatnot. And it's like the staff of the hotel where they were holding these meetings at across from PSU, they're trying to get through with their busser carts and their maid service and whatnot. He's saying, no, you have to go around this, blah, blah, blah. So I know this guy goes around causing trouble and committing crimes. So that was one of the things that people talked about, prior knowledge of blah, 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 prior knowledge of this. I personally had prior knowledge of several of these people causing crimes, committing trouble, intimidating people, threatening people, starting fights. So those were the only 2 named people who you could put a link to with the indictments. The other 8, no idea who they were. I was denied my right to face my accusers. I was denied my right to a fair trial by jury because the jury was completely tainted, and the judge denied the motion
change of venue. Okay.
I was denied all these First Amendment rights from being stopped from threatened with imprisonment had I done all these other various things.
And eventually The judge
Eventually,
said
I was found guilty of all counts. The judge said this was not self-defense. He specifically said this is not about what other people were doing. This is about what Strickland was doing. And that to me indicates that the judge Thomas Ryan, who's now retired recently, earlier this year, that signals to me that he didn't even consider self-defense as any kind of concept, because self-defense is entirely predicated on what the actions of certain people are doing to someone else.
What somebody else is doing.
And he's saying that's irrelevant. You know, and the prior injury that I had suffered the year before, he's saying that's irrelevant. Like,
yeah.
How can someone tell me
state of mind kind of a thing?
What I'm thinking and what my training is and what's going through my mind in the middle of this? Like, are these guys mind readers?
Yeah.
Obviously not. If they think they are, they're not very good at it.
And so that's
a job reading my mind.
What was the possible prison sentence that you could have gotten from all of those charges?
55 years.
Okay. Then, and everybody just saw that crime on this podcast. It was a big crime. 55 years. Oh, okay.
But again, the people didn't even see the start of the video here from when the mob attacked me, which again, I'm the only one that has video of that. And that's, again, that's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/laughingatliberals.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's fine. But you get sentenced. And what was the sentence? 55 years, we're all freaking out. We're all freaking out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's going to happen to poor Mike? What's happening? And then what happened?
So the sentence ended up being, so they had me undergo what they call a pre-sentence investigation. That's where you go and talk to one of the probation parole officers, and they do write up a little report. And then you also see a psychiatrist, and they write up a little report. The report from the probation officer, Deborah Mitchell was her name. That was so shoddy and inaccurate. They couldn't even get my name right on the first page.
Yikes.
They're referring to me as Michael Wayne Strickland. I'm like,
who's that guy?
Wayne Strickland. So they're getting dates wrong. They're getting prior things that had happened to me wrong.
What was the net result of that? What happened?
Okay, that's all part of the pre-sentence investigation report.
Did that help or hurt you?
It helped. So it hurt a little bit. She recommended, I think, 40 days in jail, I think. But the psychiatrist that I went and saw, his report was a lot more accurate. And I was at his office for, I want to say 3 or 4 hours. I don't remember exactly. The meeting with the probation officer there was only, I think, an hour 15. So I was with the psychiatrist there for at least twice as long, maybe 3 or 4 times as long. I don't remember exactly. This was, 8 years ago by now.
Sure, yeah.
But his report just was completely glowing. It's like, yeah, he's a little paranoid about things. Can you blame me for being paranoid? False police reports are being used against me. These gangs are threatening me.
Right.
Of course you're going to be a little paranoid. So he's saying, Strickland is in the lowest risk group. He's in the lowest group for recidivism, which is their word for, repeat offender of any kind, just all this stuff. No signs of criminal intent, blah, blah, blah. So what he recommended, I don't even think he gave a specific recommendation, but I know after his report was added to the thing, the recommendation then became 20 days in jail. So yeah, what ultimately happened was I was sentenced to 40 days total in jail, of which I had gotten 12 days, I think, credit for already time served, because that's how long I was in there before I was bailed out, which left a balance of 28 days, of which by default, they gave me 4 days of good behavior credit, which left a balance of 24 days. And some people are going to laugh at this because this is kind of funny. So the judge allowed this to be done on weekends, not even a complete normal sentence. So weekend jail, you show up in your normal clothes at 7 or 8 a.m. on Saturday. You show up at the courthouse, not even the jail. You show up at the courthouse, you bring in minimal things with you, wallet, keys, pretty much that's it. Phone, maybe. You check in, you put it in a little bucket there. They do little Ziploc bags with everybody. And they lead you upstairs of the courthouse into a room where you're sitting there with about 20 or 30 other guys who are on weekend jail, and you watch movies all day. And then they bring you a couple really bad bologna sandwich lunches if you want them. And then they let you out at about 6 o'clock, and you go home. And so you don't even change out your normal clothes. I'm there in my normal clothes. And then they let you home. They let you out at about 6, go home, sleep in your bed, show back up the next day at 7 or 8 a.m., do the same thing again.
Who are you in with?
24 days a total of that. Just a bunch of other guys who had done various other similar, mostly small things, DUI kind of things. I don't even remember. This was so long.
Okay.
They had two I don't remember what they called them. Two, not pods, not cells, not dorms, tanks, I think. So they had 2 tanks for guys and then 1 tank for the girls.
Okay.
And, and
all right.
Tanks for the guys. Yeah.
So you knew you were going to appeal,
yes.
But you just decided to just do the jail thing instead of putting that off.
Oh no, we tried to put that off. Yes.
Oh okay.
But
well,
they wouldn't let us.
Okay. So you had to go to jail.
That,
Notwithstanding the fact that you thought you were going to be exonerated in an appeals, and that's when Robert Barnes, the great Robert Barnes, came in and had to go to the Oregon Appeals Court and argue your case, and it was unsuccessful ultimately. And then eventually,
the good news is by this point, so after the sentencing, one of the interesting things was, I don't know if the judge read things backwards or whatever, but a lot of those First Amendment restrictions on me were now lifted, but now other ones were imposed.
Oh no, so I didn't know that.
After the sentencing, I was then allowed to blog, talk to media, post videos, go on Twitter, that sort of thing. What I was specifically prohibited from doing was filming any specific person. And anything at Portland State University or Portland Community College or University of Portland.
Yeah, you'd embarrass them way too much. You had to be stopped.
And no filming anywhere where I was told to leave, or no filming anybody who told me they wanted to film. I was specifically granted permission to film things like weddings, commercials, consensual interviews,
right.
Things like that. And anything that fell in between there in that gray area, I'd get permission from a probation officer to go and film. For example, there was one company that had called me wanting to do some live stream basketball stuff. I had to reach out to the probation officer and say, hey, do I have permission to do this? Remember, I'm effectively banned from working through all of this because again, this had turned into my job.
Absolutely.
They had banned me from working.
There are people who make really great livings doing YouTube live streams. Let me tell you. I mean, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nowadays, yeah. So, but that was your livelihood.
It was just becoming a thing there in 2016. But I wasn't even in front of the camera very often. I liked being behind the camera.
Sure.
I liked letting things play out verite, fly on the wall style. Very rarely was I, speaking up or more just sit there and let someone talk. Film them saying what they're saying,
And then Barnes or one of your attorneys appealed it to the U.S. Supreme Court, and that was denied.
Yes.
The petition to reconsider the case was denied.
Yeah. So these things that I've mentioned, as far as First Amendment rights violations against me, the things about the ambush witness being allowed to testify after both sides had rested.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The denial of change of venue, which every fear we had ended up coming to fruition. Trying to remember all these other things that we felt.
Well, you don't need to remember every jot and tittle. I think you've remembered a lot of the big things that happened. But what is your status currently with your First Amendment rights? I know that you don't have Second Amendment. You don't have any Second Amendment rights, though, right?
Yeah. So as part of the sentencing, not only was there that jail time, and not only was there those special restrictions, there was 3 years of basic probation. And so I had to meet with a probation officer about once a month. Half the time they weren't even there to meet me because they were out chasing down someone else who had, committed some other set of crimes or, who hadn't been checking in. So I'd show up to these meetings. The probation officer wouldn't be there. And there's the person at the window would be, okay, yeah, well, we got you checked in. You know, she's not here today. She had to take care of something else, but we'll write you down as we haven't checked in. So, so again, even these probation officers knew that I was of the lowest risk category for
it's
anything.
just Strickland.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
I've never even received I've never even had a speeding ticket. Okay.
Right.
Let alone any, criminal charges against me for anything.
So currently, if you wanted to, you could go down to the ICE headquarters and video all you wanted.
Yes. And I do pick and choose my moments to go and film political events. I'm not nearly as active as I was before. Again, because this night, July 7th, 2016, that was when the police, the courts, the judges, the district attorneys, the politicians, the media, that is when they all officially declared to the gangs, have at it. You can attack anyone you want on the streets. We're not going to be there. We're not going to arrest you for it. But if the person you're attacking fights back, that's the person we're going to arrest. Other than that, everything is hands off. And since then, remember shortly after that, there were the election week riots that happened all through downtown Portland.
Mm-hmm.
There were the inauguration week riots that happened all through downtown Portland. We saw the Patriot Prayer stuff kick up, all the Proud Boys stuff kick up, massive brawls in the street, hardly any police presence.
Mm-hmm.
Then
let me add, the one time where there was police presence, there was no violence, because the problem with the Patriot Prayer, Proud Boys stuff is that they would be there for their rallies, and nothing would happen if Antifa didn't show up. If Antifa showed up, all of a sudden there would be violence, because whatever they started, they'd try to finish. And then eventually the Patriot Prayer individuals, the sort of offshoot of the Proud Boys, they were declared essentially persona non grata and kicked out of the county. They did not want them anymore in the county. But did they do that to Antifa? Absolutely not.
Yeah. There was a day, it was either early 2020 or early 2019. I don't remember. And this was really the day when things shifted. So even though I was banned from filming political events, I was helping other people go and film these things. And I was showing them the kind of gear to get, the sort of tactics to use. For example, with the video you showed at the beginning, got to use a monopod so they can't take the phone out of your hand, and so you can get over their umbrella. Monopod, and keep it as wide as possible. I noticed you had it kind of zoomed in.
I know. I should have done that. I know. I hated myself when I go, why didn't you just go horizontal, you dummy?
But yeah, so I was training people up on going and filming these events. That's when we saw guys like Leo Stratton emerge, some of these other folks coming out of the woodwork, and Andy Ngo started to become more and more visible.
Yep.
So there came a point in time, again, it was either early 2019 or early 2020. There was, I'm sure it was just someone trolling, but there was supposed to be a KKK event in downtown Portland.
Oh, okay.
And so, of course, a bunch of the Antifa people show up for it, and then a bunch of the street videographers showed up.
Yes.
They're of course chasing off the street videographers and whatnot. But there were two specific things that happened on that particular day. There was a guy who they started ganging up on. He was there with his camera. He started running away. They had backed him into a spot where the only place he could really run was up the stairs of the Justice Center, the same building in the background there of my video, the police headquarters. That was the only spot that he could run. So he starts running across the way there. These riot cops come busting out of the main door there, and they start yelling at him, the guy being chased by Antifa. What are you doing here? Get out of here. I'm like, these guys are chasing me. They're throwing bricks at me. They're throwing rocks at me. They're threatening me. I'm trying to get out of here. No, get out of here. Scram. I'm like, well, can I go this way? Like, no, you got to go back that way where you just came from. So they're telling this guy, we're not going to help you. And we are ordering you to go back towards the violent mob that was just throwing rocks at you. Second thing that happened that day, about half an hour later, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, Brandon Farley, another street videographer.
Good guy.
He showed up to film this thing. The terrorists, again, I call them terrorists, thugs, terrorists, militants, whatever. They start yelling and screaming at this guy. He starts running up the block. He starts running down the street to get away from them. He is eventually crossing the street, and you can see on his video, the light is green. The walk sign is green. He's going through the crosswalk to get away from Antifa. He gets across the street, riot police jump out and arrest him.
Yeah.
For disorderly conduct. About a year later, he was eventually cleared from that. They brought him all the way through trial, and he was eventually declared not guilty. He's running away from the terrorists who are trying to attack him, and police arrest him. So, yeah, I know it's hard. It's a little easier now, but it was really hard in the beginning for me to get people to realize, because we're taught from a young age, and I get it, to trust the police. They're the good guys. They're here to protect us. They're here to keep us safe. After going through what I went through, that's when you realize, no, they aren't here to keep us safe. They're here to follow orders. Their orders come from their top commanders. Their top commanders follow the orders from the politicians. The politicians have to follow the orders of the Antifa terrorists. Otherwise, they know the streets are going to be destroyed by the Antifa terrorists. Ergo, the police effectively become the armed badge enforcement wing of the Antifa terrorists. I know that's hard for some people to grasp, but as we saw, both through my thing, through the hands-off approach to the election riots, the
2018, 2017,
yeah, all that stuff, and then they're chasing away videographers. They're arresting people who are being chased by Antifa.
They assaulted Andy No twice.
Yeah.
Almost killed him the third time.
And that happened at the exact same spot where it happened to me. Not a single cop around. But you can see police, you can see them a couple blocks away on some people's videos, observing from a safe distance. Well, people are being assaulted and nearly murdered right in front of their headquarters. And then that brings us to the 2020 riots all through downtown Portland. The police are just hands off, let the rioters destroy the city. If you try to stop them, you're getting arrested. The police are just badged terrorists. And now we're seeing more and more of that play out right now down at ICE. They're not doing anything to stop the terrorists. They're not doing anything to stop the people committing crimes. If someone goes in there who opposes, they don't even necessarily have to oppose the terrorists. If the terrorists say they don't like that person, that's the person who gets arrested.
Yeah, I noticed that it's always the wrong guy getting arrested recently at the ICE headquarters. And that's why, honestly, I was shocked that the cops actually intervened for me, although I looked like I might be Antifa, so maybe that was the reason why. I have no idea. They're gonna feel the heat of the federal government on their neck, the breath on their neck, because of what Pam Bondi and Hermeet Dillon are planning to do, which is investigate the police. And as I said at the outset, I started taking a look at some of the history of the agreement that the City of Portland Police Bureau had with the Obama Justice Department, and it all stems from there. That's when everything went to hell. That's when they let the Occupy Portland guys camp out for weeks in the parks. You know, remember the overflowing toilets? It was absolutely disgusting.
They had to shut down the bathrooms at one point.
Yeah, they did. Man, it was just, they got
all of that. When I walk by those parks anymore,
I went every day. I worked downtown.
I still remember the smell.
It's disgusting. So all of a sudden, and part of it, and I'm looking into this a little bit more, part of it had to do with the reason that the consent decree was created in the first place had to do with what the Portland Police Bureau was doing against people who had mental issues. And I get that. I understand that. But how does that to say, when you look at an entire grouping of people and go, well, we're sort of hands off because we think they're crazy. I mean, that's my instant, rejoinder to that. They must be nuts. I will say, however, as I've looked at the ICE, I've been following the ICE thing fairly closely, and I know you probably have too. And so you just briefly, you go down to the ICE building, and during the day, it's one scene. And after 9 o'clock at night, it's an entirely different scene full of really bad actors, people who are assaultive, people who are violent, people who would just as soon kill an ICE officer as look at him. And they stop the cars of the ICE officers trying to get in and out of that facility so that they don't go arrest their brown brethren, because as one of their signs said, you're arresting the hardest working people, which to me is accurate if you only compare them to the nutters out in front of the ICE building during the day. I mean, it's an absolute Star Wars bar scene out there. These people are crazy. And so when you look at them, you go, okay, I can see why they'd have some issues wanting to roll these people up because they're crazy, but they're there for a reason. They're the distraction. They're the ones so that the Oregonian and all the television stations who can say, see, it's just a carnival out here. It's like a circus-like atmosphere, but it's not violent. Oh, really? It's not violent. Those are the same people who will come back later after their drugs have worn off, and then they take a new hit and they're ready to go after it again and start beating up the Katie Davis Courts and the Honey Badger Mom and Nick Sorters of the world. They're after those people, and they have committed acts of violence against them. These are not a benign number of people. And by the way, let me just say before, again, because I'm going to say it in every single podcast about this issue, Antifa is an organized group. Antifa has a flag. They have membership. They have a canon. They have a handbook. They take oaths. Did I mention the flag? Yes, of course. They have uniforms. They go black bloc. This is an organization that has been around for a while. It started in the 1930s. They're communists, and that's what these people are. And let me tell you something, Mike, this might be the first time you're hearing about this. So they're very organized, and the most organized group of them all was the Rose City Antifa organization. And according to Andy No, I don't know if you saw this today, but Andy No reported that a Swedish independent reporter found the leaders of Rose City Antifa hiding in Sweden.
Så ni bakom mordet på Charlie Kirk? Du är ju medborgare i USA. Är du rädd för att själv dömas för conspiracy eller?
Just nu är jag på plats i Varberg, Halland för att försöka få en intervju med Johan och Caroline.
Recognize those guys?
Grundar den numera terrorstämplade vänsterextrema våldsgruppen Rose City Antifa i Portland, USA.
By any means necessary, they say, can mean outing a white nationalist at their work, or, as we've seen recently, violence, fires, property damage, hand-to-hand combat.
You have to make it so unpalatable to be doing white supremacist organizing that they no longer want to do that.
För 5 år sedan så infiltrerade journalister från Project Veritas Rose City Antifa där de bland annat kunde visa att Johan och Caroline hade byggt upp gruppen med kunskaper från den vänsterextrema miljön i Sverige.
You can kind of catch what he's saying. Obviously, no, I can't play everything because that would just be taking his stuff, and I don't want to do that. But I do want you to know.
What's interesting here is they're fighting enemies that don't exist. They're claiming that they're anti-fascist and they're fighting Nazis. Okay, that war was won 80 years ago. I mean, there might be a few people across the country who.
Wait a minute.
Who are actual.
You're the guy, aren't you the fascist? Weren't you that guy?
Yeah, they just point at anyone and say, yeah, you're a fascist, you're a white nationalist. And then,
isn't it interesting? They're always the reporters.
Yeah, they're just making up fake enemies to pretend to fight.
That's right. They really are.
But I wanted to go back a little bit here.
Sure.
The whole day versus night thing, that's been one of their MOs for quite a while. Stuff that happens during the daytime, bring kids to it. Once the sun goes down, no kids. That's when the real stuff happens. That's been their thing for quite a while. And
it's a psyop. I mean, it's a big charade to say, oh, see how peaceful we are. We're so peaceful, like Chaz and Chop. Bring your kids, it's safe. And then at night, kids come down and they go, hey, and then a couple of them are murdered at Chaz and Chop. I mean,
now I also want to go back a little bit here.
They're black individuals too.
Yeah.
Because Black Lives Matter, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
what were you saying?
This might be taking it. So I'll go even a little bit further here with the critiques of the police. And maybe people are ready to start thinking about this. Maybe people aren't. Maybe given everything that we've seen over the years and specifically in the last week. So you had started talking about some of the mentally ill people. And a lot of these mentally ill people are going around committing crimes. They don't recognize that they are doing that.
Some of them may not.
So yeah, I mean,
I'm not willing to say all mentally ill people don't know they're not committing crimes. Come on.
But then you have, and this is going beyond the political stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a lot of people who are drug addicts. We know that, especially around here in Portland.
Drug-induced psychosis.
Yeah, and they're going around, they're committing relatively minor crimes, theft, trespassing.
Pooping on the street.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So the police arrest these people, throw them in jail. The DAs either dismiss the charges or, they eventually take a plea deal to some, possession of meth, and they're sentenced to 10 days and then let back out.
Unless it's for personal use. They've gotten rid of that, right?
I don't know where.
Anyway,
that stands.
they decriminalized it for a while, and it just was an abject disaster.
Oh yeah. So I want people to ponder this. It might be a bit much for some people to ponder at this point. What would happen if crime rates dropped in half overnight? Who would be out of work? Half the police would be out of work.
Half the
judges would be out of work. Half the DAs would be out of work. Half the defense attorneys would be out of work. Half the probation officers, half the administrative staff, half the jail officers. It is in their best interest not to stop crime, rather to exacerbate it and perpetuate it, so they always have this revolving door of petty crimes that are going on. So they'll catch a big time drug dealer every now and again, but for the most part, you hear stories all the time where people are trying to report, there's this meth house down the street, they're cooking meth all the time, there's 20 different sketchy cars showing up every day and leaving. The police don't go investigate anything with it, because the police are dependent on the people who are hooked on these drugs, going out and committing these petty crimes.
I get it. It sounds a bit, not airy fairy, but conspiracy theorist. But I get what you're saying. I do. I hate to think that anybody who'd been in a position, got to law school and gone to the academy, who loved their country, right, wrong, all of these things would allow rampant criminality run the streets. But when you take a look at what they've allowed Antifa to do, let's just take as a microcosm this ICE facility, what's happening around the ICE facility. The local police have allowed these people to set up an illegal camp. When they have in the past come to clear out the camp, I guess the city comes in and sometimes clears it, giving them, of course, a lot of notice. They take all the stuff away, they tell them where they can find it, and then they rebuild it. But not only do they rebuild it with the stuff that they're given back, they have a storage container right by the encampment, right by the ICE facility, which is really an operational security risk, frankly, but yet they have a spot where they can go and they can collect all of the other things that they're given from monies by whoever's funding this fiasco. And then down the street, you have the hardcore Antifa working in shifts. And when they go, they'll do a few hour shift. They'll go back to their safe house that's being rented by who knows who that benefactor is. And then they send another crew out. So this is all done under the noses of the Portland Police Bureau. Portland Police Bureau knows this.
And
I mean, I can't be the only one to know it. And Honey Badger Mom knows it. And Katie Daviscourt knows it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the terrorists are really good at keeping their plausible deniability and not linking things. Like a lot of them don't even know each other's real names. That way, if they're arrested, if they're put into a situation where they're kind of coerced into blabbing, they can't. I don't know who this guy is. I see him around. I know what his eyes look like vaguely because he's wearing a mask all the time.
Right.
I don't know his name. They do that. That's a great tactic. And the people on the right need to adopt some of these tactics of autonomy and anonymity here.
We don't even do this stuff. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Under what circumstances do we need this information?
Exactly. So yeah, they do a really good job of being able to hide the paper trail, and part of the reason for that is they do have a lot of attorneys working on their side, like what you were talking about with our properties and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
there's some of the attorneys. Juan Chavez is one of them. Kenneth Kruster is one of them. These are the people who are always. Matt Dos Santos was one.
Oh, let me tell you something. These are guys. The attorneys guild, the lawyers guild.
Yeah.
They have now gone after Honey Badger Mom, Chelly, and they've gone after her because she was spray painting an Antifa chick. She was going around hitting people, and she was coming after her with her flagpole. Sound familiar? And she sprayed her before she could do it. Now they're suing her.
Yep. Yeah. And again, in Multnomah County. So I'll just say real quick, you were talking about property from the people. So I think it was Kenneth Kruster who was involved in a very specific case involving that, because he had put some tracking devices in some bags from some of the encampments that were being cleared out at one point. So he was able to get, to find out where the stuff was being transported to.
Yeah.
And he was able to get some kind of new policy put in place that limits where they can transport personal belongings from these encampments. I'm pretty sure it was Kruster, may have been someone else. But yeah, they have all these attorneys who are crazed leftists who are I don't know where they're getting the money from. I think we all have a pretty good idea of a few names.
Sure.
But they're very good at hiding the trail, partially because they're being advised by these attorneys on how to hide the paper trail. So because they know how the evidentiary trail works. If they can break a few of those links in the evidentiary trail, nothing can link this person, to that house, to that place. You know, that's really good.
And the Antifa chain of custody is much more secure than our vote by mail ballots in the state of Oregon, California, and Washington.
But yeah, another thing you were talking about as far as all the various different characters, and you were calling it a circus at one point.
Yeah.
So
that's by design.
This might be a new term for a lot of people listening to this, but they call it diversity of tactics. This has been a thing going back for several decades. In fact, I filmed Lisa Fithian giving a presentation at Portland State University.
Oh, you did? Oh, I want to see that again.
Oh yeah, it's on my.
She's the OG, man. She's the one.
Yeah. No, she is. She's of the top terrorists in the country. She might be number one. She might be number one at the top of the list.
If you can thank her for
in everything.
Thank her for the Ferguson conflagration.
Yeah.
Thank her for Occupy. Thank her for Stop Cop City.
Floyd.
Thank her for George Floyd. Thank her for Stop Stop DC. It was in Washington DC anyway. All the other stuff. She's done all the big ones.
But yeah, I filmed her giving one of her training presentations at Portland State University, and she's mainly referencing a lot of the stuff from the WTO when that happened in Seattle. What would be ironic now is if the WTO thing happened today, it would be the pro-Trump people showing up to protest it, and the Antifa people showing up to defend the World Trade Organization.
Yeah, you better believe it. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? I'll just never forget that WTO thing. And the most iconic photograph was these two people kissing in the middle of the street. And
she talked about how they had actually arranged for 3 different themes of groups for a couple of those protests.
Yes.
And I guess the circus group was the one that somehow made it through the police lines. So they're the one that's got closest to the building, and they're the ones where all the pictures and news cameras were on. And even I got to laugh. That's pretty funny. That's a great move on there.
Oh, it was such a setup shot. I mean, it was like, oh, I got the greatest shot. You know, you were faked into taking that favorite shot. Oh, so like the chicken, the 2020, the chicken 2020, when she took off all her clothes and did a exotic dance in the middle of the street. That the media loved that one. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
So there's actually a video on YouTube. It wasn't from me. I don't remember who it was, but someone actually has undercover video of Lisa Fithian arranging. I think it's in Chicago, the teachers union protests. She's actually behind the lines arranging who's going to be arrested and who's not. She's going through and picking out who the most victim-y looking people are. You know, the old people, people in wheelchairs, people with walkers and whatnot.
They always have somebody in a wheelchair.
They call them the arrestables. So those are the people that they put on the front lines for the police to arrest. And it's all like with Greta Thunberg, for example. It's all just a setup. And that's where you got to start thinking the police are involved, because now the police are arresting these people in front of all the video cameras. And I've seen a couple of these where people are in cuffs, like on the sidewalk and whatnot. Police are like 20 feet away. These people are giving interviews to media while they're arrested in cuffs. Where have you ever seen that happen before? It's got to be pre-organized. The police have to know this is going on. Ergo, the police are on the side of the terrorists. Now, individually as officers, if you're listening to this as an individual officer and you are fed up with the crap that you're being ordered to do what hundreds, maybe thousands of your brethren have done. Put down your badge, go to work for another jurisdiction, and talk about it. That's the one thing these cops are, and I get it. They don't want to risk their careers. Talk about it. If you're retired, if you're recently retired, and you were on some of these riot lines, and you were ordered to do certain things that you know were wrong, but you knew you had to do it, otherwise you would face blowback. You didn't want to ruffle the feathers in the back. Now is your chance right now. Come out. Talk about it. People need to know these things.
It's a great point.
I personally know two of them. And one of them actually is a bit of a public figure. He actually did talk a little bit about this, and he and some of his other folks need to do more of that. Now, this is partially why in Portland specifically, and I'm sure in a lot of other cities, hundreds of cops have quit in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
because they're sick and tired. They've gone to work for the suburban counties and whatnot.
Well, I mean, there's only so many kneeling you can do, so much kneeling you can do
and that's why these cities are so short on police, short on resources.
Sure, they
almost as if that's part of the intentional design. Almost.
I mean, almost. I think it's not almost. I think that is, just one of those wonderful, fanciful results of your plan being put into action. I mean, that's the whole point. They want to create chaos. They want to completely demolish the system. It's a controlled demolition, is what this is.
You know, I'm fine with fending for myself. I'd actually be fine with no police and just let us take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Well, as long as you're not going to be prosecuted for it.
But if there's no police, what I have a problem with is this huge, gray, fuzzy area where sometimes certain laws might be enforced, sometimes certain laws might be ignored. It might be the same law in nearly the exact same situation, in nearly the exact same location. Switch the affiliations of the people around. People might not be arrested. People might be arrested. It all depends. I would rather have complete
Is it pro-Trump? Is it pro-Trump or is it pro-Antifa?
I would rather have complete anarchy than this gray, fuzzy, undefined line of, well, we don't know if the police are going to show up or not.
That is spoken like a man who doesn't have to worry about getting the crap beaten out of him by a man only slightly larger than yourself. So I just think, my husband actually, he kind of doesn't remember that, you have less to fear than I do on these sorts of things. You're bigger than I am. You've always heard the old saw about how women, there will be a man walking across the crosswalk, and it's usually a poor guy who's black who doesn't understand that women feel you're a male and I'm freaking out. And they'll hear the door locks go on as they walk across the street. Well, I'm one of those people. I mean, if it's not already locked, it's going to be locked. I don't care what color you are. I don't know how big I don't care how big you are. I don't care. I don't know. I don't know what you got in your pockets. I don't know what you have in your heart. I'm going to defend myself, but I can't,
The problem is you get in trouble if you defend yourself. I'd rather there be no cops so you can defend yourself without fear of, even if you're eventually declared not guilty, you're still arrested. You're still thrown in
it's the
jail.
process. Process of punishment.
Yeah. And what we were talking about a little bit with the attorneys. The attorney's loyalty is to the process, to the legal system, not about what's right or wrong. It's to the legal system.
Yeah, well, okay. They're supposed to be. But I keep seeing all these attorneys that were working with Donald Trump, for example, and now they're all being disbarred. Because why? Because they gave legal advice that anyone who's got this job can do, but he's working for the wrong guy, piercing the standard of privacy between lawyer and client. They've done everything. They have done everything and completely tossed up the way civilization does things. And with respect to the law, they've just totally upset the apple cart on purpose. And so when you say what you say, I get it. I get it. I do. Well, Mike
It's unfortunate.
Strickland.
I wish it weren't like this. I wish
me
it
too.
weren't like this.
Yeah.
But it's the reality of the situation we're in. And anybody who goes down to this ICE thing in Portland, you have to understand the terrorists have free reign to do whatever they want. And if you try to stop them, at best, you're going to get pepper sprayed. But I mean, they have free reign to beat you, rob you, stab you, shoot you, and then you're getting arrested on top of all of that. So if you're going down to the ICE thing, bring bail money, bring tourniquets, bring expanding wound plugs. And you kind of have to expect.
Great.
You have to kind of
Now
have
my
to
husband is
expect
not going to want me to go back to. He's not going to let me go back.
You just have to expect that sort of thing's going to happen because that's what we're seeing. And it's all on Bob Day. It's all on Keith Wilson. It's all on Ted Wheeler. It's all on Tina Kotek, all on Kate Brown. And if we want to say that I don't know how big of a precedent my case set, but my case is the first one that I know of where something was like this, where they basically gave the green light to the mobs to do whatever they want. The blood is on the hands of Judge Thomas Ryan. The blood is on the hands of Deputy DA Kate Molina, Deputy DA Todd Jackson, the ambush witness who is actually the
illegal witness.
Yeah, he's the firearms trainer for Gresham Police. His name is Ryan Rasmussen. Everything that we're seeing on the streets, it all started then. The blood is on their hands.
Mike Strickland, thank you so much for coming back on the Adult in the Room podcast. And if you want to hear a more serialized way in which this story is told, you can go back to starting with the second Adult in the Room podcast. It was audio only, but it's still fascinating to listen to.
And my YouTube channel, youtube.com/laughingatliberals.
Laughing at Liberals. Go check out. He still can make money on some of those videos. I'm going to go back and look at the Lisa Fithian ones. Well, that'll be fun. I'm all about that.
I don't think I posted all of it. I think I still have the entire thing that I've kind of kept in reserve.
I'd love to see that. Love to see it. You know I would.
Well, here's the thing, and maybe I've made enough allusions to this. I do have a cyber dead man switch set up. So I've investigated a lot of these people. I know where to dig up a lot of files, a lot of dirt on people. So I do have a cyber dead man switch set up with all the dirt. We're talking like messy divorces with these people, messy custody things, accusations of child abuse and restraining orders. I have all of that set in the dead man switch. I've been in the position to get videos of certain individuals who don't even know I'm there, who are acting a fool, doing some very, very interesting things that will not be good for their careers. These range anywhere from attorneys to police to the activists to some of the politicians. I've learned that maybe keeping some of this stuff in reserve is more valuable than putting it out in the open. So this dead man switch is set up to where if I don't enter certain information in on a regular basis, it goes live. So if for whatever reason I become indisposed, all this dirt goes live. So you people better hope nothing bad happens to me.
Thanks, Mike. Godspeed. And thanks for viewing the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. Appreciate Mike Strickland coming back on and talking about his case. And tune in Thursday. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.